Let me just put something on my lips, they're dry. There we go. Hi guys, my name is the Governor, Gatako Governor Mangai, and I'm back with another video. Today we are not going to have a vlog. I thought it is the last day of the year, so why not just sit down and have a conversation about the year, how it has been for me, what are some of my key takeaways from this year, some of the lessons, some of the highlights, the lowlights, and yeah, just taking stock of what has been in the last 12 months. And it's going to be my very first sit down on this channel talking about myself, and I hope it goes well. Thank you so much for your support for this channel. I came back to YouTube in November, and the support has been amazing, so I really appreciate you guys for watching my channel, for sharing, for sending your comments, and most importantly liking, so that algorithm can recommend my videos to other people like yourselves, who might be interested in my content. So I really appreciate you for that. For those who are new or watching my videos for the first time, you are welcome. I hope you will check the other content and you will like it, and you will consider subscribing, liking, and also sharing like the others do. So without wasting any more time, let me just get into it. Please guys, pardon the lighting. I have told you guys that I do not really have furniture in my apartment, so I have to find a spot where I will be able to shoot and get enough lighting. Maybe it's too early for me to shoot. It is currently 6:30 in the morning, and I'm shooting at this time because I want this video to be out before 12 o'clock. So yeah, I hope we'll be able to make it work. Okay, so before I start with the stuff that I will be reflecting about, I want to say that this year was very interesting. There were a lot of good that came out of this year. I wouldn't say a lot of bad, to be honest with you, but I have been feeling conflicted a number of times about different things concerning my life. So just to start, in January, I moved back home, but before I moved back home, I had a medical procedure, an operation, in the beginning, end of Jan. So I was out of work for about 2-3 weeks or something like that, just to recover. And as soon as I came back from hospital, from that op, I had to move out of my place because I had only rented for 3 months. So my lease was starting in November 2022. It ended in January, and I opted not to renew that lease. So I came back from the hospital 3 days after my op, still in stitches, and I had to pack up my bags, moved into an Airbnb where I stayed for 2 weeks. Because I wanted to fully recover before I could travel all the way to Limpopo. And then once I had recovered, I then moved back home. I have been home now for, since February. But even with that, I have been traveling up and down between home and Joburg. Initially, I would stay with friends or stay at an Airbnb every time I'd come to Joburg for work or other personal projects. But I realized it wasn't sustainable in October, where I basically decided to rent a place. But that coincided with the fact that my friend Spusiso wanted to move out of home and find a place as well. So I thought, let's get a place together. I'm not going to be here most of the time. So he will have the space to himself, and at the same time I will have like a set place every time I come to Joburg, and I don't have to always carry my bags when I travel. So now I'm renting, at these new apartments, which I really like. The location is amazing, so that is awesome. Um, so yeah, that is the background. Some of the stuff that I'll be talking about on this video relate to my work, so my professional career, relates to Think Economics, which is the non-profit policy organization that I started, Worship Saints, which is the music gospel group that I started as well with a couple of friends, juggling work or juggling multiple passions. I will be talking about relationships, both platonic and romantic. Yeah, and yeah, I think those are the top things that I will be talking about. And obviously, I've returned to YouTube and I've picked up other interests ever since that happened, and I will cover that as well. So I hope you guys enjoy these reflections, and if you can, also please share your own reflections in the comment sections. If there's something that resonates with you, please do put it down in the comment section. I really enjoy engaging and reading your comments. Let's get started. Okay, I think I'm going to start with the main one, which is professional career and work. I do not talk about my work a lot on social media. I do share snippets here and there of that, but I don't think I really cover the details of my work. And I guess it's because of the sensitivity of the place that I or the kind of work that I do, and the place that I work at. So I mention very few things about my current professional career. But on this video, I think it is only fair for me to reflect on the year. And I picked up a job or a career in central banking back in 2021. This was after I took a 1-year career break post coming back from my master's. And it has always been a goal to work at a central bank. But I did not think it was going to happen this sooner. I thought to myself, I need to do more private sector years before I can move into central banking, because I thought central banking is meant for people who have now figured their things out, who have now made a decision that is the path that they wanted to take for the rest of their lives. And I felt like I wasn't quite there yet, even though I had the desire that ultimately that's where I want to go. So I took up that career, and it has been one of the most growing opportunities, or one of the most growing, growing decisions I've ever made in my life. I mean, I've only done 2 jobs, so there isn't really much to say on that. Apologies. There isn't really much to say on that, because the first job was my graduate program, so that was more like grounding and just trying to see what I'm interested in. And then this job is like a job, and even with it being my second job, I felt like the decision to work in this environment that I'm at was the perfect decision. Not only because of the organization that I work for, but also because of the kind of work that I get to do, the kind of individuals that I get to interact with, and the importance of the work generally. I mean, most of us talk about wanting to do meaningful work. I do meaningful work where I work. Honestly, I really do meaningful work, and if not for anything, just for myself. So that has been interesting. But recently I have had a bit of a internal conflict, and for a number of things, right? In any organization, you work with people, you work with individuals, and your experiences might be defined by people. And that has been one other challenging, element of my job. And the second part had been me just feeling like I wanted more, right? And not necessarily more at work. Like, it's not like I want more responsibility, but like feeling like I need something internally about my career, whether I have to, go back to school, or I have to do some kind of studies, or I have to work on a really, really interesting project. I have been feeling like that for a very long time. Well, this year particularly. And I've just been battling with this idea of, is it time for me to move? Is it time for me to look at something else? But every time I've made a decision to move, either go to school, quit a job, and so on and so forth, I've had peace about it, and I've not had peace about this internal battle that I have been having. I have felt like if I do make that decision, it will be hasty, and it will intercept whatever God has in store for me or is planning about my life. So ultimately, coming to the end of the year, I'm just thinking to myself that perhaps I might need to stay put. I might need to maybe seek counsel from God a little bit more, and not be driven by emotions or driven by, oh, I am this person. I feel like I haven't achieved anything in the last 2 years. Now I want to take up a challenge that will, give me that dopamine, injection, of like, oh yeah, I've done something incredible. So I'm deciding to stay put, and just focusing on the breath, and how rooted I am in my knowledge and what I know. I don't know everything, and I know that I don't know everything, and perhaps I need to start putting work. Even when I put work, I will not know everything. No one knows everything. But yeah, that has been work. But still talking about work is that we had a conference in April this year, which was like, covering the South Africa's reference rate reform journey. And it had, delegates from the banking sector, asset managers, the law fraternity, and some other interested parties. So it was such a huge conference. I was serving in one of the committees that does communication. So we were doing like the planning and all of that. And just a few days before the conference happened, they needed an MC, and one of the senior managers recommended that I MC. She said it so lightly that I did not take it seriously at the time, but she was serious, right? That I should MC this conference. Guys, this is a big conference, and you want to make sure that the people who are running it are the right people. This manager had never ever seen me MC anything. She had never seen me program direct anything. I mean, we've worked together in different projects and meetings and so on and so forth, where I speak, and perhaps I have a level of confidence that, gave her surety that I will be able to carry out this assignment and carry it well. But until I started thinking about it, I didn't see how the kind of volume that event actually, spoke. The fact that people that we work with, people that we interact with are observing different things about us, right? Even when we don't vocalize, people are observing different things about us, and they're able to spot potential now and again. But the next step is that a manager as senior as she was, to take a step and have confidence in a junior, to say, you can lead this, you can actually facilitate this, with no prior experience of seeing me do what she was recommending for. It's such a huge thing for me, and I got a lot of good feedback from, senior people, executives at work after that conference happened. And it was one of my highlights, if I am to put it frankly, of this year, to have been able to do that and carry out, well. But the other big thing that came out of that is that it ignited something in me to say, you know what, perhaps this is something that I should consider doing because it comes naturally for me. Maybe I should consider doing it. Maybe I should put in time to train. Maybe I should, find the right people who will connect me with opportunities where I'll be able to MC corporate events. And lo and behold, this year has just been, it has blown my mind regarding that. I had not planned to be picking up program directing, facilitating, master of ceremony thing to the level that it occurred this year. I emceed, after the conference, I emceed a mentorship dinner and a facilitated panel discussion on entrepreneurial ecosystems. I emceed and facilitated an anniversary dinner for the Association of Allen Gray Fellows, the facilitator for a panel discussion at Ignite Africa, which is a conference that brings entrepreneurs from all over Africa. And really what we're doing is that we're reflecting on entrepreneurial journeys and looking at how, we could build structures that support entrepreneurs in their journeys, right? And also just learning from real entrepreneurs who have gone through different challenges, sharing that with other people so that they may learn from it. And that was also a great opportunity. I really met incredible people at that event. There was also these two young sisters who are entrepreneurs as well, who were there, who their story is really just inspiring. They even wrote a book together about their journey. And I also emceed and facilitated the staff meeting at work. And I know if I say staff meeting, you guys are probably thinking, the team is just catching up, we just like something casual. Where I work, a staff meeting is serious. It's like a conference on its own. It's attended by all the senior execs at work. Everyone at work is in attendance of that. Your team, other teams, other departments, from the economics department to financial markets to risk and so on and so forth. Everyone is just in that meeting. I was just thinking to myself, the versatility that I have as an individual, it's something that strikes me. And it's something that I think I don't appreciate enough about myself. I think most of the time I always, think that, if I'm too creative, then people who I'm working with in, this finance world won't take me seriously. Maybe I should tone down my creative prowess so that people don't think that is what is more interesting to me than my actual work and so on and so forth. And you know what? Who I am, what I possess makes me unique and makes me who I am. And I think I want to embrace it more going into next year. When I do my work, I do my work, right? I took up an opportunity this year to present at an MPC meeting, which is related to work. And that was a big highlight because, the kind of audience that is in that room, the kind of decisions that are made from that meeting are really, really impactful to the rest of the economy. So, being able to do the work and be able to carry it out and still be able to be this Nkateko who will, facilitate a staff meeting as if that's what their job is. It is really, really amazing. It just goes to show that we are whole individuals. And I want to go into next year being this whole person. I don't want to shrink any part of myself. I don't want to dim the light in any parts of myself. I want to be whole. And if people think that being whole makes me less than in other aspects, I guess maybe that's their opinion. But I am a person who always try to do everything that I do with excellence. So that is what I want to carry out next year. And with facilitation, I want to take it more seriously. If I can take some short courses in public speaking, I will do that. I think I'm a natural public speaker. I have done Toastmasters before. I'm always, engaging with people in different platforms. I'm not afraid, but I do think I can be better. Next, the next thing. So I've already spoken about work and I spoke with facilitation as well. Now I want to talk about Worship Saints. Worship Saints, as I mentioned before, it is a music gospel group that I started with friends of mine back in 2009. And we now have 3 albums under our name. And look, before I get into a lot of things, I think there is a lot of God in how Worship Saints has evolved over the years and what Worship Saints have been able to achieve and do. Last year we did a recording called the Celebration Project, with the aim of just celebrating with friends and fans and people who follow our ministry, after we reach 1 million views on one of our songs. We do not have all the resources in the world. We don't have all the networks and the connections in the world. And perhaps because individually we are career people who are busy with our careers, we don't necessarily have all the time to go out and look for relationships and look for networks that will enable us to push the ministry forward. And perhaps it's something that we need to change. Perhaps we need to get someone to come in and help with that. But even without this big marketing and woo-ha about us, even this without this big airplay that other artists have, we are still able to achieve milestones that people even with those resources cannot achieve. So that is a big win for us. We released the Celebration Project in around June, July this year, and out of the 3 albums that we have released, the Celebration Project is one project that has attracted so many people to start following our ministry, to start listening to our music. It is the biggest selling album of the 3, and in a very short space of time. It's been just 6 months since we released it, and it has really done well. And the other thing is that it is the most authentic of the 3, and by that I mean that there are no overdubs on that project. Like, what was happening in the room is actually what you hear on the record. There is nothing else that was done. It's as raw as it was recorded, and I guess people also relate to that authenticity. Not to say the other albums are not authentic. It's just that to get the perfect sound, sometimes you have to do a little bit of more work after recording, right? So that has been great. What has been a little bit challenging for me with Worship Saints is that I do feel like the group has evolved. It is not teenagers anymore in high school who were just interested about ministry and about music and just doing it. It has become a lot more, and if I dare say, a little bit harder to carry. It has become a little bit harder to carry. There are a lot of internal battle was within myself about the direction, and the next thing, or the way that this ministry needs to be run, because there has been a lot of changes. There have been people who were part of the ministry who are no longer part of the ministry. There are new people who came in, and also people have other responsibilities now, which just changes a lot of things. So it has been hard to carry, but I don't want to get in too much into that. So that's something that I feel like next year I really need to focus more. It's almost like my ailing, one of my ailing passion projects that I work on, and probably requires that one looks into it a little bit more. I think economics was my focus this year. It was my ailing passion project. I took up coaching this year with this amazing coach who really helped me, break down what I wanted to do with Think Economics. When I started it, I was not working at the time, and I started it out of passion just to get people involved in issues of economic policy, and it required very little than what it requires now as a fully fledged non-profit organization, but I really worked on it, and we, as much as it came out later this year, we really got the train back on track, and it is moving. We are getting people interested, and we decided that I think we should just work on, you know, some of the things that we had planned to work on without, you know, the pressure of always being visible. Because sometimes there is pressure to be visible and be out there. But this year we hosted our first Think Pod, where we brought in people to discuss the unemployment issue in South Africa. There will be a part 2 on that. And we really had incredible engagements in that room. Just having people think together about different things and just conscientize people about the happenings around us, you know, and hopefully more people get involved in the next year. But there's some things that we're working on, hopefully that we will launch in the first half of next year. Okay, yeah, I think I've covered most of these stuff. I'm going to do the general lessons, but before I get to that, I want to talk about relationships. So relationships haven't really been relationshiping, you know. They've not really been relationshiping. Personally, like with friends, I think I have strong relationships. What I have realized is that even those relationships that are strong go through an evolution, right? And the evolution is not that they lose their strength, but it's that the kind of interaction that happens changes. So same individuals, you can still depend on them. They could still, you know, come through for you when you're in need. At least that's what I think, that, you know, the friends that I have could come through for me when I'm in need. But the kind of interaction change. And it becomes more visible when you no longer live around the same neighborhood or place. You're no longer working in the same organization. You're no longer in varsity, because in varsity you always see each other no matter whether you like it or not. So it requires more time and more effort to relationship, you know. People, you know, move out, they build other relationships as well. People get married, they get kids, their priorities change. But I think these are people that you could solidly still depend on. But it changes the structure of your relationship. So as a single person, you struggle with the idea of whether those relationships are still strong or not. But I don't think any of my friends have given me any reason to doubt that they are still my friends, even though we don't always talk as we used to. So those relationships do go through an evolution. I do think there are other relationships, not necessarily friendly, either it's people that I work with and so on and so forth, that I need to work on mending next year. So my toxic trait is that I think I'm getting better now, but I don't really like confrontational conversations. I'd rather just ignore until we drift apart. Ignore until someone is invisible. I think that's the kind of, you know, person that I am. I don't mind someone confronting me though. I don't mind. In fact, I get frustrated when people have an issue with me and they don't communicate. Like, if you have an issue with me, come to me. Like, I'm a person who's very receptive. I will take your feedback and I will apologize and I will, you know, make changes. But when tables are reversed and I'm the one who's having problems or issues with people and I'm supposed to address it, I don't. So that is my toxic trait that I am planning on addressing going into 2024. Romantic relationships as well. It has not been happening as it should. For multiple reasons. I don't want to be sharing my romantic life on. I don't want to be sharing my romantic life on YouTube, but it has not been happening as it should. And every time I have conversation, it's really between, do I really want to be in a relationship? Because if I did really want to be in a relationship, I could be in a relationship, you know? Um, so I feel like it has not been happening as it should. I have been going on dates, as any person should. I go on dates, I meet people, I talk to people, but yeah, we're going to leave it at that. The other thing is that I'm also a person who likes being home. And this shocks a lot of people about me. I interact when it's necessary. I interact when I have to. So if I'm at church and I have to interact, I interact. But I'm not going to overstay. So if we are having a 4-hour thing, by 2 hours and a half, already my energy will deplete and I would want to go home. I'm a person who just enjoys my space. I want to be home. I'm not a person who goes to clubs. I don't go to parties. I do go to restaurants by myself. So I guess even my opportunities of meeting people are limited. But we're going to leave that on that. God willing, we'll probably change that in 2024. So I think the overarching thing that is on my mind right now is that God has been faithful. I turned 30 this year, and there's a lot of things that have happened in my 20s. The highest highs and the lowest lows, emotionally, and disappointment, from people, from myself. But in all of that, right, I do think God has been really faithful. Career-wise, I think I've made a very good decision with where I am and what I'm doing right now. We just need to seek a little bit more guidance about what's next after this, or what's next in this, because it could be in this and not after this. And in this year particularly, I think I have taken up a lot of things that had excited me. I went hiking the Drakensberg, which was one of the most life-changing experiences, physically excruciating, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And after that hike, my interest for hiking was developed. I remember a few years back, when I was in Cape Town, I shared with a friend that I wanted to hike Table Mountain. So like, Table Mountain is hard. If you're not an avid hiker, if you've not hiked before, maybe just try, Lion's Head. So I went to Lion's Head, I hiked Lion's Head. And then when I came back from the Drakensberg, after hiking more than 22 kilometers up and down, I thought to myself, well, this was tough, right? And it has about 3,000 meters elevation, compared to the 1,000 meters elevation of Table Mountain. So I was like, Table Mountain should be small. So I left Drakensberg the following weekend. I was going to Cape Town for the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship celebration, 20-year celebration. So what I did is that on the Sunday morning, I decided to go hiking. And I've shared those highlights with people on Twitter. I've shared it on Instagram as well, and people were like, what were you thinking? I went up by myself. It was during winter. It was a little bit sunny before I left, the base, but as I was going up, it started raining. I had to cross through a river. When I got up, it was windy. I couldn't see. There was this cloud of mist just resting on the mountain. I didn't know how to get back down. I didn't have signal. I didn't know directions, so I had to wait for some Samaritans to come and like show me the way down. But even in that, you know, I was told that I couldn't do Table Mountain, and because I did Drakensberg, I was like, no, I can do it, and I did it. As tough as it was an experience that I cannot trade for anything for myself now. Maybe life is like that, right? People are going to tell us we are incapable. People are going to tell us what we have we do not deserve. People are going to tell us that it's tough, and more often than not, they're speaking from their own experiences. And I feel like we all should not define our experiences based on other people's experiences. We should not define what we are capable of doing based on other people's capabilities, because we probably possess different strengths to them, and we must be able to identify those in ourselves and harness them, right? Harness them even strongly. So I hope that as you prepare to jump over and cross over to 2024, you will be an individual that looks inward. Appreciate all that you are. If you're an artist and a finance person, it is good, do it, right? If you're a musician and a doctor, pursue it. You should not shrink any parts of yourself. If there is a challenge that you want to take up, quiet the noise. Don't listen to what people are saying. Just as long as you have the internal conviction that that's something that you want to do, go for it. And you will realize that at the end, you are a whole, fulfilled individual. That's what it is in life, guys. Like, it's really not about the money. Yes, bring the money, but it's not about the money. We are fulfilled when we live out our full potential, I think. When we become whole individuals, every part of ourselves are explored and we give them the attention that they deserve. I'm happy that I am an economist. I am a brother. I am a sibling. I'm a friend. I am a musician. I'm an artist. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a founder. I am embracing all those parts of myself. And perhaps I will not become the best in any of them because I am split too thin. But by the time I leave this earth, I will be a more fulfilled individual. And I think that's what matters to me. So those are all my reflections, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. I do wish you all the best as we cross over to 2024. And I pray that every single thing that you have, purposed in your heart may come to fruition. May every single thing that you touch be blessed. And go on, become a whole individual, pursue passion, and be great. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys again back with vlogs next weekend.